Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris. A major sports league has stepped on its crank yet again. Well, this one's tied to the recent controversy just appeared a couple of days ago. I've been very busy with reporting news. I missed this about the National Hockey League having a job fair in Florida in which they actively discriminate against anyone who doesn't fit certain categories that they consider to be marginalized. This is what they said for the job fair. Participants must be 18 years of age or older, based in the United States, and identify as female, Black, Asian Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Latino, Indigenous, LGBTQIA+, and or a person with a disability. Veterans are also welcome and encouraged to attend. Well, gee, thanks. The event description. Well, the problem is that, of course, that is illegal. It's discriminatory, and it's a sad statement. The National Hockey League, of course, is a league that avoided controversy and all this nonsense with woke tardism until 2020. In the wake of the George Floyd Summer of Love nonsense, the National Hockey League went searching for a problem that it didn't have. The argument they made is that 83% of staff and front office personnel are white. Given that the game is played overwhelmingly in Scandinavia, white European countries, Canada, and also here in the United States, but the United States is a rather recent entry into it. We've didn't have our first number one NHL draft pick until about 30 years ago. It is an odd statement to say the least that you're upset that 83% of the staff happen to be white. Might it be that hockey is played in places where people of color don't hang out? Do you get a lot of people of color hanging out there in Quebec, where all these hockey players come from? Maybe you do. Certainly not in Norway, where they come from, or Sweden or Finland. So they're searching for a problem that doesn't exist. It's empty-headed virtue signaling. For me, it started in 2020, and let me be specific about this. They announced on the 3rd of September 2020 that they had a policy. NHL announces initiatives to combat racism and accelerate inclusion efforts. Why are you accelerating inclusion? By accelerating inclusion, what you're doing is intentionally excluding other people. Why don't you just hire the best people for the job? What a concept that might be. Everyone should be able to live and work in an environment that is inclusive and one that is free from racism and discrimination in any form. In our sport, from the NHL to youth programs, we must take actions to achieve that goal and to make our sport available and accessible to all, said Don Fair, National Hockey League Players Association Executive Director. To which I say, youth programs. So have you identified instances of racism where people are being discriminated against from entering the sport in northern Finland, in Sweden? Really? In Maine? You got a lot of problems with this. Really? Because we're not seeing the news reports about people being discriminated against, being denied the opportunity to enter hockey. I never had that opportunity, and I'm white as driven snow, apparently. That's because we were poor. Never went ice skating till I was in my 20s and paid for it in my own pocket in Germany. It just wasn't something available to me. Yeah, so stop searching for problems that don't exist. Ridiculous. So the NHL went hunting in a exercise virtue signaling for a problem that didn't exist. Then in late 2022, I saw that their intern program was announced. And in it, they said that only 40% of applicants could be white males. Now, how does that make anything better? See, by discriminating in this fashion, what you do is you upset the apple cart and make things completely backwards. For the better part of 30 years, we've been fed the lie that women in the United States are not in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And we told women, and all the energy has been put into putting women in there, and some of it, like by NASA, to get minorities. So NASA will go to East LA and to Crenshaw to recruit Black Americans, youth, to get them into science programs, while ignoring the vast majority of other folks like myself who grew up without electricity and had no access to those sort of programs, just went to a regular rural high school. Yeah, picking and choosing winners. If you're going to do this, you pick everybody. Otherwise, you're discriminatory and exclusive. But the bottom line here is what would happen with women in STEM is that because of 30 years of lies, now over 60% of all advanced degrees, masters, and PhDs awarded in STEM fields go to women. Men are wildly underrepresented. Women outnumber men almost 2-to-1 in those fields. Of course, they're not satisfied with that. Not until every position in science, technology, engineering, math is held by a woman will these woke tards be happy. You get an imbalance, and that's not a proper balance in society. Men die earlier. They have poor health. They work longer, and now they discriminate against. The misandry is epic. And the National Hockey League, shame on them. So it turns out that I actually qualify for this internship program in Florida, which is illegal, by the way, but I could qualify for it. No, I'm not Black. I'm not Asian Pacific Islander. I'm not Latino. I'm certainly not Indigenous, and I'm definitely not LGBTQIA plus LMNOP XYZ, nor do I have a disability. other than tolerating leftists and woke-tards. But I am a veteran. 36 and a half years supporting and defending the Constitution, not for white men, but for all Americans. Buddhists, Christians, Jews, Muslims, animists. Yeah, there's some of them out there too. Native Americans, Lakota, Cheyenne, Chiricahua Apache, white folks, German Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, everybody, gays, straights. The Constitution is for every American, not for a select group. And hiring practices are for all Americans, unless they're physically incapable or mentally incapable of performing the job. Then you don't hire them. Or they're criminals. Pretty simple. The woke left has already started their nonsense. I read something earlier about how, this is all, try to flip it around, make the victims the people. Well, anytime that someone tries to promote minorities, it's not a question of promoting minorities. Who is saying that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, is racist or discriminatory? I don't. If an organization wants to raise money for Black Americans solely based on their skin pigmentation, well, they're fools, but they're welcome to do it. When an organization like the National Hockey League excludes a specific group of people by targeting them and excluding from it, what you will get is a skewed representation that does not represent the sport itself. And now the National Hockey League decided to go woke and make themselves unwatchable. Saw it coming 2 years ago. I watched every single Golden Knights game since they came on until the season. I've seen 2 games, lost interest. We typically go to 20 to 30 of the Hershey Bears games, home games, even travel to Scranton, to Binghamton, and to other locations in the Northeast to watch their games. No more. Lost interest. Haven't been to a single Bears game this year. Your loss. You think I'm the only one? When you discriminate against people, they lose interest in what you've got going on. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot. Hang in there.